welcome to Free Cheese episode 375. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Mark Augustiniak.
What's up?
Matt Zellner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. Our final episode before the launch of the next generation of consoles, a return to Dota, talk about Sega Entertainment, Nintendo quarterly updates, all sorts of Tony Hawk updates. Before all of that today on this action-packed, thrill-seeking, genre-bending podcast. How are y'all doing this week?
Good. Fine.
Yeah. I'm awake.
A lot of hype and not so much energy over here.
You got to get that energy, boy. What kind of energy? What are you chasing today? What are we? What's your post to the energy drink subreddit going to look like this afternoon, Matt?
I do have two cherry Coke energies in the thing. I have not had anything new recently. I don't know what to post. I will say, though, I did have to work overnight at work recently. And usually, the caffeination during an overnight is key. Now, granted, this is not advertised by Coke Energy. Just remember that as I say this.
No, that's fine. Advertise all you want, man.
At 3 a.m.
I missed that Coke Insiders box.
At 3 a.m., I was starting to, get the downs a little bit. And I was a little sleepy. Popped open a Cherry Coke Energy. I was up till 8 a.m. I was rocking and rolling. I was a man on a mission. So there's
Did you leave at 8, or did you leave and then you were up until 8 just, ready to party? Let's go break bottles.
No, I actually, I started to feel tired again around 8. I was there, actually, until, 10 in the morning.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you needed a second Coke Energy that morning.
Nah, I decided to sleep once I got home.
Oh, okay. Mark, if you were going to make a Thanksgiving sandwich, what would you put on it?
Sweet potatoes.
Check.
Cranberry sauce.
All right, I'll accept.
And maybe some stuffing, but it's in the shape of bread slices.
Okay, that's perfect. That is the perfect. And I'm sorry, the you still have additional bread, right? That encapsulates it all. That's the stuffing is not the bread.
Oh, I mean, my idea was that the stuffing is in the form of bread. It's bread shaped. So,
and that would take over as the bun that encapsulates the whole.
Yep,
I'll
correct.
accept. I've been on the hunt for, speaking of Coca-Cola, speaking of Thanksgiving meals, I've been on the hunt for the cinnamon Coke that was available last year when Wawa threw the old gobbler, is that what it's called, out into the world. For our non-East Coast listeners, Wawa is a gas station. What sells very delicious sandwiches. And I've not ordered Wawa food in probably since that thing, that old gobbler, just because it sucks, man. It's way too long now. There's too many college kids at this one. It's just a night. I ran in there when I was skating the other night just to grab a drink. And there's just college kids all standing around waiting on their food. And there's one kid with his mask pulled down under his chin. Mm-hmm. It's okay, though, because he's sitting in a corner away from everybody. But he's just... I can't even say it without cracking up. He's just coughing, out in the open air. Did you not get the memo, dude?
Oh, my God.
There's, one thing you shouldn't be doing right now. No matter what you're... And I was like, all right. But no Coke, no cinnamon Cokes, no, maybe the Gobbler's back. I don't know if the Gobbler's back. Is the Gobbler back? Write in and let us know. It just sounds like a bunch, I don't know, it sounds like a McDonald's promo from the late 80s or something. Speaking of the late 80s, we are going to play a game this morning called We're Gonna Show It. Matt, last week you told us before recording, oh, whoops, I forgot to grab my DualSense out of the mailbox. It's been a week. You got it? Hey, look at that. It looks more gray.
There it is. That could be this
How's it feel?
Terrible MacBook Pro camera. I like it. Actually, it's got a good ergonomic feel. It's got that. It's a slightly different shape than the DualShock, but it has the weight, I guess, because all the haptics, closer to an Xbox One or the Switch Pro controller.
Oh, cool!
As well.
I like that.
I feel like it's a bit wider than the DualShock 4, just because it seems more rounded on the outsides and straight. Like kind of going down from the triggers down to where you kind of hold the controller. And I would say the first thing I tried to do was do my new Rocket League Claw, where I still only use my left index finger for L2 and L1, but more recently, because of Rocket League, I've been getting more in the habit of middle finger on R2 and index finger on R1. I feel like this is very close to that kind of grip on an Xbox One controller. More so, I could pull it off better on an Xbox One controller than I could on a DualShock 4. It feels like it's very much close to that kind of design up front as well, allowing me to grip it easier for that purpose.
How's the native Rumble just plugged in playing Rocket League?
So I haven't actually like played it with anything yet.
Oh, you were just like,
I was just
air guitar,
just doing some gripping and stuff like that. So I thought about trying to hook it up on PS4 and playing a game of Madden or something with it, and I never got around to it. I figured I'll just let my first experience be either a death in Demon Souls or Miles Morales, or if I don't get my PlayStation 5, because I still have a shipping notification yet. Unlike my Xbox, Xbox is coming.
It's coming. Everything will be here. You're gonna. Yeah. Well, more on the next generation of consoles towards the end of the show, but first we got to talk about blood, my friends. Lots of it. We opened up the week, and like obviously, listeners, we organize the show for what we feel like makes sense as a good show flow thematically, but literally back to back, top of the week, the first two news stories that hit our Slack channel, the first two news stories that matter. Vampire the Masquerade is getting a battle royale developed by Swedish studio Shark Mob, made up of former Massive Entertainment and IO Interactive developers. Set in the Vampire the Masquerade universe. Let me try that again. Masquerade, not Masquerade. Vampire sects at war on the streets and rooftops of Prague. Single and multiplayer parties are planned, and players can use supernatural powers, weapons, and blood to hunt, fight, and survive the night. Game is scheduled for release in 2021. There was a shot in the trailer. I don't know if you guys watched that trailer, but it showed a little bit like the actual gameplay of the game might be top-down action, kind of like Diablo style. And I assume that the closing circle is just the sun, right? Like it's got to be that. It's obvious.
Just daylight creeping in.
That wouldn't make a lot of sense, like with science though, because the sun usually wipes, unless it wipes you to a corner of the map or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's just a bunch of garlic farmers, just wheelbarrowing in garlic.
Oh yes, a crop dusting
slowly
of
all
garlic
circling around. So yeah, more on that, I guess, next year. The Shark Mob also announced there's 2 other AAA titles in development, but no word on those just yet. And Blood Rain and Blood Rain 2. Huh?
No, I thought of a good topic of the week. What is the best enclosing circle mechanic? Like, what's the best thing you could use to drive a circle in a BR?
Oh,
see.
Real quick, there is like a knockoff Battle Royale game. It kind of looks like Tabs. I don't know if it's by the same people, but like their walls are just these giant pillars that just fall from the sky and just can crush everything or like around it.
I like that. My immediate, I like that because there's the randomness of it. It's just like you don't know what's going to happen. That reminds me of that bicycle one that
underrated, the underrated one.
Yeah, Radical Heights. Yeah. No, when you just said what is the best thing to do, my first thought was a smell cloud. And once the smell cloud entered my brain, a Wario battle royale where you have to do like micro games to like whatever, keep yourself alive. You know what I mean? Like it's like combat in the game would be you running into another player, and then it cuts to a screen where the two of you have to do like kind of a whatever micro game,
oh my God,
sort of like a rock paper scissors style to eliminate one another. and you're also outrunning a big,
All right, Joe,
like Wario's fart cloud.
Stop talking. We're gonna bring that back in. We're gonna reel it back in, and we're gonna
right.
profit ourselves.
Just email Reggie.
WarioWare 35.
Oh my God, yes. I very much like this idea. I also like the idea of a vampire one. So let's. We'll see. We got that werewolf game still coming. Ryan Gosling's still gonna see his true shadow or something. Blood Rain 1 and 2 also getting enhanced versions. If 2021 is too far away to wait for Vampire Blood action, Ziggurat Interactive will release enhanced versions of Blood Rain and Blood Rain 2, both subtitled Terminal Cut, for PC via Steam and GOG on November 20th. If you own the games currently on either platform, you get the upgrades for free. Upgrades include higher display resolution output, 4x anti-aliasing, upscaled cinematic videos, and the games have been optimized for Windows 10, among other things. Ziggurat Interactive was established earlier this year to, quote, remaster, rework, and restore a wide variety of classic console and PC games for modern consoles and PCs. Do you think this is the first step in the future of the series, or is the publisher just kind of, all right, let's get all these properties together and put them back out so that people can remember them?
So when I saw this on Twitter, I commented on it, and I was like, I hope they do the same for the Soul Reaver games. Because the one thing I saw for Blood Rain they also added was controller support, and it also has the X input, direct, whatever that's called, for the controller. So you can use the joysticks. And I was like, this is what Soul Reaver needs, because when I bought that, I was so mad that you could only use the keyboard, not even the mouse, to play Soul Reaver.
Oh, right. I remember
Arrow
that.
keys and the WASD keys, whatever. And everyone was, like, on board, like, yes, like, they need to do Soul Reaver. I've been saying that for years. And, like, one dude had the audacity to, like, tease me as if he, like, knew people. And he was just, like...
He was a bot.
Yeah, like, he was pretty much saying that, like, stay tuned kind of thing. Like, or, like it's gonna happen at some... I don't know. He was being very cheeky about it.
Did you check his profile and see if he was...
Okay,
what was his avatar?
I could probably find it, because like on his page he was like, like he was being subtle, like, I know people, and it was all like these like different like video game like developers and companies and crap.
We'll see. I'm not objecting it. I hope the man's right. I just also worry.
His name is LJJ, and his icon looks like some drawing of a fish man with big red eyes. I don't know what that's from. Looks like a graphic novel. I follow the most interesting people, and the most interesting people follow me, smiley face. Apparently it's from...
Interesting.
Tony Hawk follows him. And he's from Earthrealm, so I don't know.
Hopefully that comes to fruition.
Yeah.
I just don't want Mark's heart to break again.
Oh.
However, Mark's heart may break a little bit with the news that Friday the 13th, the game, will officially lose its ongoing support. In a forum post to the official forums for the game, lead community developer shared news that support for the game will officially come to an end with the next patch due out this month. Dedicated servers will be decommissioned, but the game will remain available to play via peer-to-peer matchmaking. Official forums will be archived in a locked state to act as reference for the game, and it will remain available for sale with the double XP and other increases set at the beginning of the pandemic to remain in effect indefinitely. So we kind of knew about this a little while ago, but Mark, could you update listeners who maybe are out of the loop on the Friday the 13th happenings? Why is the Friday the 13th, the game, not receiving updates?
So that franchise is undergoing a very, very long legal battle, because I believe it has to do with one of the original writers not being credited. And so now it's become like this whole big battle of what, I guess they're like sorting through what can be still licensed and what can't and all that. So everything's just on a halt. So that's why I haven't seen any movies. That's why I haven't seen any more like new official merchandise outside of like, I guess, what's already been out there. just like reproductions of like masks or some shirts or whatever. But yeah, so it's basically that, and because of that, the game is now in effect with that, and yeah, like it was. I'm surprised this didn't happen sooner. I guess it's good that it's happening now. This is probably the one time where I might have wished that a company, because I remember when before they got the license, it was just going to be like a Friday the 13th inspired game where you were different camp counselors and people could be like mysteriously taken. You have to find out like what's going on and whatever. Kind of wish it was still something a little more original than having to deal with a licensed product because of stuff like this.
So how does Dead by Daylight turn? Like, I mean, obviously different game, but do you feel like you, as someone with interest in the Friday the 13th, the game, are you going to? I mean, you're already into Dead by Daylight to an extent, right? So does this mean you pivot harder in that direction?
I don't know. I mean, they feel very different. I know, like, they seem similar when you just look at it from afar, like on paper, but Friday the 13th actually did a good job of capturing how it feels to be in those movies, probably. Mm-hmm. And especially, like, whether you're a counselor or Jason, there's a lot of good variety with that, and the different Jasons and different abilities. And then, like, you go to Dead by Daylight, and it's, like, super competitive, believe it or not. And you have to really pay attention to the different sounds. Like, it's a very audio sensitive game, and if you're not paying attention to that, then you're just whatever. Like, it's almost like a fighting game in a way, depending on the killers, because like some are overpowered and some aren't, and they just exploit certain moves where you're just screwed and you can't do anything about it. So
would you then where do you fall on Predator Hunting Grounds? Is that the name of that one?
I think so. I mean, I was never like a big Predator fan. Like, it's cool, but I have no real interest in playing it unless friends were playing it or something.
I'm hoping, like, that's one of those things that I want to see come to Game Pass, and then that's where I'll probably play it. I might actually end up liking it, because I have played more Friday the 13th than I have in the past, this last, like, week or two, but, yeah, no, I think, like, with it going to peer-to-peer, it's not the end of the world, but for those solo queuing, like if the host was a counselor, I see a lot of times the counselors, upon dying, back out, which will then ruin the match. So solo queuing is essentially going to become a nightmare. If you have a party, I'm sure it's still going to work just fine. But yeah, that's where the troubling issue is going to be.
Yeah.
I think the game is free with games with gold.
13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th.
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about Predator. I'm talking about
Predator.
If that were to go, like, I'm not going to buy it, but if it were to go, like, on Game Pass, Gold, PlayStation Plus, somewhere, I would probably at least peek at it, because I am interested, but I'm not going to drop 60 or 40 or whatever it is on it, at least not at the moment.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I'm going to check and see if Friday the 13th is there, and I forgot to grab it.
It was also on Plus for a bit too, I think.
Yeah, I think I can't remember if I got it there or not. I don't remember. Yeah, it like Mark said, it was inevitable with the ongoing lawsuit, and the dev, I think, even pointed out that in the blog post. But yeah, it's still a bummer. Do you think that last question about this one? But do you think that they would go to kind of just make one without the license? I mean,
so that kind of touches back on the legal stuff, because I think, if I remember correctly, there was some talk of, if they are to somehow, like, in order, like, to like technically get a license back, we might see one of two results, or three if they just keep everything as is. But if that's not the case, they might alternate to either losing the name Friday the 13th and still keep Jason, or lose Jason but keep Friday the 13th but just have it maybe deal with other things. That's a weird way to go. I'd rather just drop the Friday name and just keep Jason, because not even all the movies have Friday the 13th in their name already. Like Jason X is not a Friday the 13th one. It's just called Jason X.
Yeah, and then also, like, this is where it's going to get weird, right? So I'm assuming they had, when it was just a generic slasher game, I'm sure it was their source code, but when they got the license, is it now, like, you know, how much of that source code now belongs to the developer / you know, the publisher or the licensee and stuff like that? So that could be another freaking legal battle right there, depending on where the rights to their source code is. So I don't know. That's going to be a weird thing. I think it's going to be best for them to kind of step away from the genre for a bit and just maybe, you know, Predator seems to have a player count. Like, I still hear some people talking about it, but maybe focus on Predator for a bit, then come back and see, you know, maybe revisit Friday the 13th, maybe make Friday the 13th Part 2 and have some dumb name, like, to riff off the success of the first one, acknowledging, like, what happened, and then go from there, or just make, you know, their own version of Dead by Daylight. And I think they can get some pull, you know, being the Friday the 13th dev, because you can put that on, you know, a trailer from the makers of Friday the 13th, and I think that would get some buzz too, just like Predator did. So yeah, I think they should step away from that genre, or at least like the horror one, for a couple years, see what happens with Friday the 13th, and then come back with a sequel. Because let's face it, that game could use some improvements as well, or just do their own generic thing.
Kinetic Games, single developer studio, created the game Phasmophobia. The developer D. Nighter, in an interview with IGN, talks about plans for early access. The quote here: "I was originally planning the early access to be short, where I just add a few more maps, ghost types, and equipment. However, due to the game's popularity, everyone's expectations are increased, so I am going to have to reconsider my plans for the game's future. At the moment, my only focus is getting the major bugs fixed before I begin working on new content." Speaking about the launch, I was planning for the server capacity hitting a maximum of 500 players on launch day, and it to drop off from there, as well as only aiming to make enough money to keep making more games. Now the game has over 2 million sales, with a player peak of around 90K. That would be 90,000 for listeners out there. And IGN notes that number had risen to 110,000 player peak since the interview was conducted. When asked about what D. Nighter, the sole developer, believes is behind the success of the game, states that he believes people are always looking for multiplayer games that let you have fun with your friends over games that have you competing with others, which I think that ties a little bit back into the Friday the 13th conversation and what made that such an appealing game, and to an extent Dead by Daylight and things like that. My question to you two is, do you feel like this is a single developer making a small idea come to life with limited budget, and, you know, there's a lot of like restraints there that happened, but it still worked and it still became a very popular thing, obviously. Do you think that there's any increased value in larger studios starting to invest in smaller ideas? If I thought about this because we see these big games. Obviously, this year is an anomaly, but even in a normal working year that was not so disruptive, we see games slip past their release dates as they get larger and more ambitious, especially as the generation shift. So would you want to see a big studio like CD Projekt Red or Grand Theft Auto, the studio? What the heck are they? Rockstar, 343 Industries, invest time, money with a smaller team making an idea like Phasmophobia come to life? Absolutely,
and you should look at the success of Hellblade, right? Like, that was a small team from sorry, who's the dev? Shit, can't remember the name. Ninja Theory. Yeah. Yeah, like, look at the success of that. Now look, like, yeah, granted they were bought by Xbox, but I think that was like I think that was a good thing at the end of the day, and they're able to kind of go with their own more ideas. They got more like development money and more studio capacity, and like, you know, more things they can do now because of Microsoft. They have that power, but yeah, like I think that's a good example. And like, just look at all the little successes that have come. I mean, granted, I'm about to name some games that I think have been bought since then, but like, look at Psyonix or Rocket League. Hellblade is another one. Just trying to think of like other smaller games that have just kind of blown up thanks to like Twitch and
to
stuff.
that end, do you think that you would rather, if I rephrase the question a little bit, would you rather hear that 343 was making a small contained thing that was very polished, very everything, but not as big and expansive as what they are making, right? Like, would you rather see the trend of developers doing that, having a shorter lead time on some of these launches, making a smaller idea more impactful?
I mean, yes, to an extent, but I think that's where like team size comes into play, right? Like, you know, Naughty Dog tried the A team, B team thing, and they've kind of collapsed that down to one bigger team. But it seems like they squeeze out these little smaller experiences between their big games now. Like, look at the Lost Legacy for Uncharted. Like, I mean, that got to the size of like an 8-hour game. You know, what probably originally started as like a 2 or 3 hour DLC or whatever. So I think it depends on the size of the team. Yes, it would be weird to hear Naughty Dog not working on a big budget AAA action adventure game, you know, or whatever. But like also at the same time, if I knew they were kind of starting to work on that, but in the meantime, like a small team worked on this little guy, or not little, but you know, something more focused, smaller, whatever. I would be excited.
Mark, do you feel like the charm of Phasmophobia comes in the fact that it is lower budget, that there is not a huge team behind it, and it can be just a single vision?
I would say yes, for the most part. I kind of like that. I kind of like knowing that this came from one person, and not only that, but this was their very first attempt at even game development, so there was no prior experience to this game. This was like their first crack at it, and it just happened to strike oil. And I always get afraid of games like this if they get too successful, because I guess it depends on the game too. Like, especially since this is like a horror game, if this was under AAA hands, I would be afraid of censorship, and things might not be as scary or take as many risks as a sole developer would, and it kind of starts to tarnish that person's vision, and then it becomes like a whole group thing, and it's like, who's in charge at this point? Who's, you know, like, I feel like it's just too many hands in the whatever that, too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing.
Yeah, and then it gets focus grouped to death, and the original vision gets muddied a little bit.
It's like I always view things from like a punk rock perspective. Like as far as punk goes, I appreciate the rawness and like imperfections that it has, because it feels more genuine and authentic of an experience. And then once you start to like overproduce it and make it sound really clean and nice and it's perfectly in tune, it just loses its soul in a way. So
the other thing you have to worry about with like quick, like small studio or one person seeing quick success is, you know, in order to keep up with the development, they probably would have to hire people at this point. And then that's the other part of it, is how do you know, you were so used to working by yourself potentially for so long, and then you quickly have to manage a team of 10, 20, however big you need to grow. There could be some growing pains there with that, just, you know, learning how to delegate and stuff like that. So, I mean, with success comes pressure, and with pressure, you know, you're going to have to kind of perform because you have some expectations now. So, it's going to be interesting to see. I have faith, you know, hopefully this game keeps its momentum. I think one of the key things was this coming out right around Halloween. People were looking for something new. The Twitch audience got a hold of it, and it's kind of skyrocketed from there. Indeed, I know we hate saying about influencers, but, you know, the Twitch is a powerful tool, and if someone popular gets a handle on something like this and it looks fun, it's going to skyrocket. But back to my point, like, you just have to be careful either with a big company coming in, swooping in and buying it or creating it, or even the small team is learning how to deal with success and growing from there. Something to watch out for.
And like, yeah, that's the other thing I was going to add on is, if it is a chance where they do have that AAA money behind them, as long as it's like they're just there to back them and not make any executive decisions, I see nothing wrong with that. But yeah, like I think was, as Matt was saying earlier, I definitely agree with, like, team size does make a difference, and I feel like if it is something small, like 5 to 10 people, I think that would just be a nice sweet spot. Yeah,
the only thing is with the money, like, you know, a company is not going to throw $300 million at something blindly and not, let it curate, like they're going to have a say, and that just comes with investments of that size and AAA money, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, that is the thing to your earlier point about Ninja Theory, like that is following their like dev logs and stuff like that, the videos they've done since the Microsoft acquisition. That is kind of what Microsoft has done, is just throwing them the money, giving them the internal Microsoft resources, but just been hands off. Obviously, you're going to have somebody checking in to make sure the game is, whatever they're developing is progressing the way it's expected. But I think the idea is that creatively they're not being, shackled down.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's the first parties you kind of hear that about, right? Like, I think Nintendo kind of has some creative freedom at some studios. Sony seems to cater to creativity. Microsoft's catering to creativity now, as they're trying to get away from Gears and Halo, as they're only like tentpoles. But I just like when you think about EA or Activision, that's clearly not the case. There's clearly meddling. There's things that these old rich white guys are they're looking for in games to try to make it mainstream, and it's not working, obviously. So that's my fear. I just don't want one of those companies to come swooping in with money. That's Microsoft and Sony, or if they keep doing what they're doing, they want to throw some money at this, then so be it. But yeah, it's weird.
Well, one example of I don't know how I'd frame this, but I think that Supermassive Games does a little bit of the smaller idea with a decent budget behind it. I could not find anything specifically about what the budget was for the Dark Pictures anthology games, but the second one of those is out now, Little Hope. And Mark, you played through the Dark Pictures anthology Little Hope. That's the full title of it, right?
Yes.
Had you played Man of Medan prior to this?
I did not. I did scope a little bit about it. I, just saw some things. I kind of know what happens, but no.
Yeah. I don't think you need to. I think the idea, so what is Little Hope for those just getting into it?
So if you're familiar with this series of games, there's usually a little cast of characters as if it's like a horror movie. And you can either choose to, I believe, play this alone, or you can do a movie night mode, as they call it, where each friend takes control of a character and they get to make their choices for them, and that determines the outcome of the game. These are kind of like a Telltale-ish kind of game, but not as... probably not as lengthy, I guess, because, a whole game can be done in like 3 to 4 hours, as like a Telltale game is probably like 5 parts, and each episode from them is like a couple hours maybe. So, but yeah, it's almost like playing a horror movie, and then you're all just like figuring out together, just kind of seeing what happens. But Little Hope's whole thing, without giving too much away, its whole theme deals with like Salem witch trials kind of thing, and then there's like a little hint of like psychological stuff going on. Just like I'm not sure how to describe it exactly.
What time period? Your Salem witch trial? What is it set in that era, or?
So your characters are like modern day, but you keep dealing with stuff from that time. Like the main constant is this little girl. Of course, it's always like a little like witch girl or something like that. No, Little Hope is the name of a town.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so there's some like pseudo Silent Hill vibes a little bit in there. There's some witchy vibes. Like its whole thing has like a pagan cult like theme to it.
How did you? So you played this with friends. How was that experience like online playing together in that way? Because that's the part that they introduced with Man of Medan, where Until Dawn you kind of would have to pass the controller if you wanted to do that stuff, but this kind of actually lets you party up and each play is...
Oh, well, we actually met up in person for this.
Oh, okay. But does it still work the same kind of way, like local, like multi... Can you use more than one controller?
Oh, no, we used the one controller and passed that around. Because like my friend, she streams like weekly, so she wanted to do this and she needed other people, so we got together and did that. And so yeah, it would let you know when it's your character's turn. Now, what they did, the game doesn't really do a good job of like prompting you on like everything that this game does or what to expect from it. But so we didn't do this, but I think when there's scenes where it's your character, but you're playing as other characters, if there's like a QTE scene happening or something like that, it will zoom to that character, and then it will show in the lower left-hand corner, like that character's name and like some character traits about them or something like that. And apparently when it shows that, you're supposed to pass the controller immediately when that's happening. So like if a monster's chasing you and it's chasing a couple of you and you're trying not to like trip over twigs and rocks and stuff, your character has to do a little QTE, and then it'll pan to the other character, and then you have to quickly hand a controller to them so they get it right without messing up or something. And we just didn't do that just for just to play it safe.
Yeah. Does that, would it have added to the tension?
Oh, probably. And
just an aggravation.
No, I think it would have made it a little more entertaining, a little more challenging.
Well, what's your overall feel of the game? Like, did you enjoy the experience? Would you recommend it for people looking for something like that?
Compared to Man of Medan or whatever, I would definitely recommend this if you just want to just kind of get through a little something, pass some time, play with some friends, or by yourself. I think it's an interesting story. I like its themes. It's more appealing to me. Expect some jank. Expect some rough character animations. Everybody has weird teeth. It's just weird facial, like uncanny valley type stuff here and there. But if you can look past that and just kind of just go along for the ride, I think it's pretty enjoyable. I think it's like a $30 game or something like that.
I think that sounds right. Yeah, and they're usually with these games they tease. I think they've already announced the next one, but what they plan to do with these 8 games,
is it 8?
I thought it was originally 3, but yeah, when I was reading the other day, it said 8.
We thought it was 4. But like 8.
Maybe
holy
what
crap.
I read was a typo, but yeah, I don't know. 8 is what I saw, but annualized releases here.
Yeah, and like each one tends to have like some kind of like known celebrity as like the main character.
I saw this one has that kid.
Yeah, like
so,
I mean, people know him. I think from that meme of like, I think it's from We're the Millers or something like that, where he's like, "You guys are getting paid," but I know him from the Black Mirror movie Bandersnatch.
Right. Yeah.
He's like the main like dev or whatever. And then like the first one, I forget that actor's name for Man of Medan. It was the same guy who was in Quantum Break, and he played Iceman in the X-Men movies.
Oh, right.
And then the next one coming up, I think it's called, oh no, it's like something of Ashes, might be Heart of Ashes or something, but Ashley Tisdale is that one. That one looks like it has some Descent vibes. Like you're in caves, and they showed the Panzuzu statue from Exorcist.
Oh, that's cool. I saw there was the little teaser trailer. Did you get to see the teaser trailer like in the post credits for this one?
Yes. So usually if you find like pictures or whatever, in this game it's like postcards, you get little glimpses of a possible future or of like a scene that could happen. And you'll know if they'll ever happen to you or not, but you usually get one that teases the next game. And we saw a girl spelunking and her cord got cut and she was falling. And then after the credits it showed the full thing.
The trailer, yeah. So this is said to have taken inspirations from Silent Hill, The Crucible.
Okay. Yeah.
Movies like The Witch, The Blair Witch Project, Hellraiser. Do you feel like this is a good, like, does it fall in line with that?
Yes.
Like, if someone's looking for something in those.
Yeah. Actually, you just reminded me because I don't know why I didn't think about this, but like the creature designs in this, actually pretty good. I was impressed by how they handled that.
I think I'm gonna, because I Man of Medan hit Game Pass a few months back, and I thought about playing through that one, and we watched a trailer of it, and both were just kind of like,
just the whole like boat thing just doesn't seem scary to me. It had like, I don't know, it gave me like I Know What You Did Last Summer vibes or something.
Yeah, but this
which is
I
fine. But compared to Little
Yeah.
Hope, I would pick Little Hope.
Maybe I'll do this one. I watched the opening of this one the other day. It was during Extra Life stream, but I didn't watch too much of it because this one I'm actually kind of intrigued by.
The characters are okay. They kind of like set you up a little bit. Like if you like said something wrong in the beginning and you maybe didn't mean to, so you're trying to make better choices for your characters so they're not as much of a douche. It's gonna be hard to do because you always have two choices to make, or you can say nothing. It's always three options.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just only have bad answers, no matter what you do.
I think that's how life goes, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes there is no good answer. It just is an answer. Mark, you played one more spooky game this week, but first, Matt, Little Hope, where do you fall in the Little Hope realm? Is that one that you would jump into? Did you ever go back to Man of Medan? I know you had talked about.
I never went to them. I still kind of want to, but at this point, I'm like, should I just kind of like keep waiting it out, or just kind of have it on my radar if next October rolls around and want to do some spookins? I got some options there.
You've also got the convenience store available on Steam. It's funny. I was Halloween night. I've not stayed up until 4:00 in a long time, but I was just up playing Pokemon and just whatever. And then I was like, I want to play something spooky. And then I stumbled on the convenience store. I was about to buy it because it was like $5 and on sale for like $3. And I was like, oh, wait, it's 4:00, which is technically 5:00 because the clock's set back. So I should go to bed. But then I see Mark playing the convenience store this week. And tell me about this game, because I watched like the opening of it where you make yourself food and put on your convenience store clerk uniform. And then that was kind of it.
Yeah, so the way they describe it, it's primarily a walking simulator genre with puzzle solving elements. It's not. Okay, so it is like a short game. If the price didn't really give that away, I think it's like up to 40 minutes to an hour. I think. But yeah, it's just a very like slow burn kind of narrative driven game where you have a late shift at a convenience store, so you're not far from it. It's walking distance. And as the days go on, I think you go through like four nights, I think, maybe 5. Just things, more stuff keeps happening at that convenience store as you're obviously working by yourself, because when would it happen with people around?
What are the creepy? Is it like monsters coming at you, shadow people? What's the?
It's kind of. I mean, it's like your typical like J horror stuff. So it's going to be like a ghost girl, a ghost boy maybe. It's kind of that, and then more like what's the word? Like scenario creepy stuff, like stuff around you starts to get warped a little bit, like stuff's appearing that probably shouldn't have been there, or like everything's like turning rusty and Silent Hill looking, or
oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Could you interact with a lot of the convenience store? Just could you walk down the aisles and look at all the food and stuff? That's really where I'm at. I want to be able to. I want a convenience store simulator. Period.
So this isn't like that in depth with controls and everything. It's also very like slow moving. So like your footsteps, there's like 2 Mississippi between a footstep.
Wow.
Yeah, like it's very slow. But yeah, I mean you can clock in, you can check the cameras, you can stock food when you need to, you can take expired food off the shelf when you need to, and you can ring people up. That's basically it.
I'm in, dude. I'm in just for that.
Oh.
Just to hang out in a convenience store.
Yeah, and then like I think there's like 2 endings, but I only got one, and I didn't feel like playing through it again to get the other one because it's just a very slow burn, but it is enjoyable. Yeah. It's a good atmosphere.
Yeah, I think you could probably do worse spending $5 on something for an hour.
And like the developers called Chilla's Art. I bought a bundle during the Halloween sale, I believe, and I got like a couple of their other games, but I have not played them yet. But the next one I want to try was the Inunaki Tunnel.
I think I saw that one in there too. Because I saw it was like I could buy that one game for $3 or buy the bundle for $13, and it had like at least 5 games or something. And I was like, I'm gonna go to bed. The
character designs are creepy. Like they're purposefully like, you took a picture of somebody's face and as a texture, and you pasted it on like this weird looking low poly body, and it's good.
Yeah, I maybe I should go back to that when I'm ready to dive into the creep. And our final creep story of the week. I feel like we've had a nice little horror theme running through the opening of the show here as we say goodbye to Halloween for another year. But Diretide says hello to Dota 2. A new version of the Diretide game mode returns to Dota 2, has you collecting and stealing candy while fighting off Roshan. A best of 5 game mode available for all players until December 22nd. As you play through, you receive Diretide points as rewards, and every 100 points grants you one of more than 75 rewards, including a pumpkin head for you or your flying buddy. I forget what they're called. Matches seem to be shorter than traditional Dota 2 matches, and the spook of Halloween can carry on into Christmas. Matt, are you playing Diretide?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
I'm thinking about it too. I just saw the pumpkin head thing, and I was like, I could play some Dota 2.
And the flying thing's a courier.
Courier, thank you. Yeah.
So I've never. So when we posted the news story, 1, I didn't even know this was happening. 2, don't know what the Diretide game mode is, and it says it's returning. So it's something brand new to me. I haven't watched any trailers to see exactly like what the actual mechanics are and stuff like that. But you got console launches coming up, a lot of new games. I just don't know how much time I could pump into Dota. You're gonna kind of find out here on the podcast. I didn't play much new. The gas pedal's been kind of laid off, anticipating all this stuff, including Warzone and Rocket League. So I don't know. There's a lot to play, and I'm kind of scared that if I start playing Dota 2, it might fall into a rabbit hole that
fall into that. Yeah,
I can't do right now.
We have till December 22nd, so that's a positive thing. But yeah, I think Diretide was around 2016 was the last one. And when this popped up, I thought it may have been something that was before your Dota time. But yeah, I'm going to give it a peek. I don't know. Not that I want to go too far into Dota, but I have not touched Dota in a long time. And I barely ever did. Like, I never got into it the way that you were, but I'm intrigued by it. You put a pumpkin head in anything, I'm going to show up.
That's true. Oh, speaking about the event is now over, but Battle.net updated. You can now modify installs on the PC, including Modern Warfare. You can just install certain items or certain sections of the game.
That's pretty good. So you don't have to worry about taking up 250 gigs of your hard drive space.
Maybe just 200.
There you go. Trim it down a bit. Well, in related, semi-Dota related news, Gabe Newell has sent a gnome into space. Safe in New Zealand, president of Valve, Gabe Newell, has thanked New Zealand for its hospitality during the pandemic by launching a gnome into space. It will be strapped onto a rocket fired into space in mid-November, specifically, November 16th. For every viewer who watches the satellite launch or its recording within 24 hours of the launch, Gabe Newell will donate $1 to the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit at Starship Children's Hospital in Auckland. This little rocket launch will also include New Zealand's first student-built satellites going into orbit. What a weird way to thank somebody for whatever. He already threw like a party over the summer, like a big concert kind of thing or something like that. There was that news clip of him on like New Zealand news when they asked him PS5 or Xbox. And during that, he was thanking New Zealand for its hospitality and talking about the benefit that he was doing and yada, yada, yada. And now he keeps it going by sending a gnome into space, specifically a gnome inspired by Half-Life, right?
I remember from Left 4 Dead 2. It could be in other games though.
I think what I read in the news story was that it originated in Half-Life, but as you know, Half-Life is one of those missing black marks on my record. So, and our final Steam Valve-related news story.
Sorry, before we move on, this rocket, does it explode and say Half-Life 3 confirmed finally?
Oh, that would be interesting. That would be a heck of a way to thank New Zealand for its hospitality.
I can't answer this question.
And it's a New Zealand
Half-Life
exclusive. 3, it's just a New Zealand.
It's only coming in. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you just got Half-Life Alyx, right? There's got to be some Half-Life 3 on the way at some point. Steam Playtest was announced this week, a new feature built into Steam allowing developers to invite players to test their game without needing to manage keys or external mailing lists. Developers can control how many players have access, when to add more players to a beta test, and when to end the beta test. This is really neat. I mean, we obviously... we're not on the dev side of things to see this stuff, but I can imagine how much of a pain it must be to try and roll that stuff out and manage that and keep it all together, especially you think of something like Phasmophobia, a single developer. So being able to do this to test new features is probably a really, really innovative thing. For us, I think that where we could start to see this, outside of obviously being participants in beta tests, but how do you think this might change the future of events like the Game Awards, E3, Gamescom, where we could maybe have different access levels to betas?
I don't know how it affects that. I mean, I really don't know. I really don't. It might make it easier.
For me, I was thinking like the
button, but like,
well, the idea they could just quickly say like, "Hey, during this weekend, we can do this for so many people or whatever," and just kind of open it up to people. Especially like I thinking of E3 specifically, like the idea that you would go there to play test a game live or something and see a demo of that, where now they could just do that remotely, with different tools and things. Mark, do you think that has an impact on those events, or?
I think so. I mean, I don't know to like what degree, but it got me thinking a little bit outside of it. Like, I could see this being a potential perk. Maybe you're doing a Kickstarter or something, and it's like, hey, if you're serious about backing us, maybe you would want to be a legit playtester for this and help see its thing. I mean, that's something that not even, I guess, early access people would even get granted to or something like that. I see this being more beneficial than detrimental in any way.
Oh yeah, no, this seems cool. I mean, the idea that they can just kind of click a button and open it up, let 500 players into a playtest, let it run, and then kill it. And they do it via like their Steam page sign up. So there's a write up on the Steam blog that shows you kind of how it works if you're curious, if you're a developer or someone looking to participate. And I believe it's there's a game running it right now. I want to say it's a Total War game, but I'm probably wrong about that.
I wonder if they did internal testing of this with Artifact.
Yeah, probably, right? Like you think about, they probably wanted. Or we know that like only so many people got into it or whatever, so you have all those signups happening, and I bet you that something like that was a good kick for them to be like, all right, we need a different way to do this, right? We need a
and then my prediction from 2 years ago is way off, but we're gradually getting there of Epic Game Store being a legitimate contender to Steam. Steam needs ways to make it easier for developers, on their platform if they're not getting the same profit margin. So I think this is a huge thing to let Steam handle the play test while you develop. Like, I think that's smart to try to, encourage developers to keep coming to Steam.
Does servers have anything to do with this? And who handles that?
I think it all still is dependent on what... I don't think it affects that.
Okay.
I feel like one of the things you're trying to test for is server load and management and stuff like that. So you wouldn't really want Steam to intervene with that if it is indeed a play test, like legitimacy thing, not just one of those like open betas for people as a demo.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's just letting Steam handle testing timelines and people and things like that, just to, because like I said, I'm not a developer. I'm not close to a developer, but I'm sure that's just one more headache or one more person you need to hire to deal with all that stuff that you don't need to do in the middle of development, especially nowadays with COVID-19 not going away anytime soon.
And even with that, I think that's also pushed a lot of people to wanting to prioritize developing from home, just making things more convenient. So
yeah. It has been 15 weeks since we started one of the longest ongoing segments outside of a regular news or topical segment. And today it all comes to a close. And who would win in a fight, the finals? Listeners, we started a long time ago with a bracket of 16 contenders of video games' greatest villains ever, as decided by me randomly asking without context who are video games' best villains to Matt. And we're now at the finals. Just a quick rundown. I'm going to list off the names that have made it through, that were part of this gambit, and then we will get into it. So we had GLaDOS versus the New York Yankees. We had Liquid Ocelot and Sephiroth, Dr. Robotnik and Bowser, Big Daddy and Albert Wesker, Londi and Pyramid Head, Gigas and Kefka, Ganon and Neocortex, and of course, who could forget, Andross and Neff from the Altered Beast series. Now, 15 weeks later, we find ourselves in the finals against Ganon and Sephiroth. So, Matt, I ask you, who would win in a fight between Ganon and Sephiroth?
So this is one of the few times where I've kind of known what the matchup is for a week now, giving me, enough time to think about this. I'm going to sip for a cup of coffee. Hold on. And then I'm going to sip from my cup of coffee. So here's the thing. We explained last week about in the Ganon and Gigas matchup that they're both kind of like larger than life, kind of can't be stopped. They're bigger than just like one person. Going back to Sephiroth, he is a powerful one person. He has a lot of power. His power stems from a couple key items, not, like Ganon, a Triforce power. He needs his black materia, and he needs his sword. Forget the name of it now, but that sword, you see, that I think is one of the few problems in this matchup for Sephiroth. That sword is not a master sword, and you need a master sword to even defeat a form of Ganon before ignoring the reincarnation piece of it. Before, we need that master sword. I don't think Sephiroth's getting away from his, from that sword. However, he could we've hypothetically said about the stadium, the Coliseum setup, right? And these two duke it out in there. What if there wasn't even a planet on the Coliseum? What if Meteor, something something that you can cast with the black materia and his reunion theory and all this and stuff, and what he could pull off using his control of the Genova cells. But once again, that was the same kind of argument we used with Gigas, where it literally is the same kind of thing with Final Fantasy VII prior. They had to use power in that kind of form to defeat or to hold off the meteor. And we said with Gigas, prayer is what was used to that was what's used to defeat him in Earthbound. But I don't know, we kind of navigated around that just because Ganon can keep reincarnating himself. Even when we can defeat Gigas, and Gigas feasts off of fear, and Ganon has no fear. So I truly do think that Gigas just kind of had a terrible, terrible matchup. It's one of those times where if he would have had a different seed, we would probably be having a different conversation right now. But we have the matchup of what we have, and because of just the ways you have to defeat Ganon, and I don't think Sephiroth is shying away from his sword. I do think, indeed, Ganon is going to be the winner of our Who Would Win in a Fight tournament.
I think you make a valid argument. Who's got the better boss theme?
Well, I think me and Mark might get into some arguments here about that.
No, I knew that was going to start a riot. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that Ganon just keeps coming back. You know, Sephiroth can be defeated. Ganon just kind of can't.
I mean, Sephiroth has
there
clones.
Might be
has clones, and you know, part of him is even inside. Like the part of him that's inside Cloud and you know, Zack to an extent is the Genova cells that make up Sephiroth. It's not necessarily Sephiroth himself. So, like, you know, at some point, maybe you ask who is, you know, who's more powerful, Ganon or Genova, and like that, you know, that's a different argument. But we're talking about matchup, mano v mano, like Sephiroth and Ganon. Sephiroth he very powerful, as you can see in the, you know, in any Final Fantasy VII game, whether it's remake or original. But also those boss fights with Genova are very hard, and that what's, you know, I think that's the separating thing here. So yeah, like I think just because it's man versus, like, you know, what Ganon can become a beast, but he's just kind of bigger than a dude or a team like the New York Yankees.
Mark, how you feeling about this?
I mean, I would pretty much echo a lot of that. Sephiroth he is very intimidating at first, but then, like, you know, you go to learn that Cloud, not even at his fullest, technically defeated him way back, threw him down a thing, and dude lost his legs. It was only Sephiroth's willpower that kept him going, but at the same time, it was his drive to antagonize Cloud, and his hate for people was the only thing. Kind of seemed like that was only his real motivation for doing anything, and like wanted to become like a god, but like that was basically it. I don't know. He just seemed very flawed in that way, but yeah, and then Ganon. I guess if it came down to it, yeah, it would just be that whole thing with Gigas again. Like, he could probably get cut or stabbed or whatever for a bit, but yeah, it's not a master sword.
I mean, obviously there's spoilers into Final Fantasy VII, but like Reunion is the driving force for Sephiroth. You know, pretty much that.
Yeah, like he has a very self-driven thing, and it just seems so small scale compared to what Ganon's scope is. So mentally, it's just another battle.
Sorry, I cut off there, but yeah, like I'm just following what exactly Mark said there. Yeah, you know, the story of Sephiroth is very interesting, but once again, when you mano a mano, I think Ganon, just because of his just like I will always be around mentality, and like you said, Sephiroth is ultimately defeated. Yeah, that's the thing. Although, stay tuned. Who knows what the remake does to the continuity of Final Fantasy VII, but maybe we revisit this in 13 years when Part 8 of the Final Fantasy VII remake wraps up the actual game.
Exactly, yeah, we've got some time, I think. Well, that is going to bring us to the end of Who Would Win in a Fight. It's been a road, man. It has been a road. Of course, we have a new ongoing segment that we will explore after the break, but maybe we'll figure out another bracket style thing or something. We've got plenty of things to look forward to in this new world era. But we are right now going to look forward to a quick break. When we come back, we've got more news, more video games. Don't miss it. We'll be right back. welcome back to the Free Cheese episode 375. It is time for our new ongoing segment, Another Night, Another Dream. Listeners from last week may remember that Mark left off in the dungeon with the Ninja Turtles after exploring a few rooms, of course meeting Londi in one of the rooms and making a devastating choice that had consequences on his attack power within the dungeon, or health points. I don't remember which one it was at this point. But, Mark, you find yourself in the dungeon with no keys. So thankfully, Michelangelo is very happy that you enjoyed the pizza last week and has given you 3 more keys this week. So we're going to upgrade your little table here. And Mark, you should be able to see now on your version of the map.
I do.
Where we are headed next. So you have a locked door. You can walk left and return back to the room of choice that has nothing left inside. You have a locked door leading to an unknown room. You could go back through the north door to the Goemon door and then pass through there and so on and so forth.
I'm going to advance from the turtle room to the unknown, whatever is behind that locked door.
You want to head to the right, is that correct?
Correct.
Alrighty, so this is tough to do in real time. So Mark, you make your way through the door, and within it, the question awaits you. Where is Brittfaceyo?
How dare you? How dare you not make this the final boss question? I'm seeing just a silhouette of a lady.
Well, not Clip but the...
Yeah. I thought it was her for a second. Where is she? I'm going to say... she is hiding probably in some abandoned park, maybe under like a bridge in Scandinavia.
I don't think it's a bad answer. It is, however, the incorrect answer. The correct answer is Brittfaceyo has been in this dungeon room the whole time, awaiting your arrival.
That's a trick question.
Mark, because you've entered Brittfaceyo's room, you now gain the pig squeal horn, +2 to all attacks.
So, I got it wrong, but I get buffs.
Yeah, She was just here waiting for you, man. She just, wanted to be your pal.
Freebie. All right. Thanks, Britt.
So now you got a little bit higher of an attack power. Where do you want to head now? You still have 2 keys.
So that's just a dead end room?
That is dead end room, yes, sorry.
Okay, so I'll go back. Now I'm in the turtle room. I'm going to go back again, go up to the Goemon room.
Okay.
And I'm going to open that door on the right.
You're going to open that door on the right, which brings you to... This is going to be difficult. I have too many windows open here. You open the door... Shoot. You open the door on the right and find, awaiting for you, a flash of teeth.
Ew.
However, before she can strike, Melina wants to know, which game did she first debut?
Mortal Kombat 3?
Ooh, the correct answer is Mortal Kombat 2.
Wow, I don't know my Mortal Kombats. I was Street Fighter boy.
That's what happens
Melina
when you watch
runs away.
I knew that. That's what happens when you watch recap videos every freaking Mortal Kombat, because I can never remember what the hell happens for like half an hour every time.
Melina runs away, carrying away what could have been an extra key.
Damn.
For you. So we're down to... Is that 1 key left? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to update here, sorry. We're down to 1 key, Mark. Oh gosh, I need to give you I need to unlock or show you the other doors here because you do have some more doors.
While you're doing that, wait, she did not attack? You got lucky, Mark. She seems vicious.
She just ran away. She was worried about her teeth getting taken. So she's happy.
She knew I saw.
Squeal horn.
I was about to say, yeah.
Intimidate her away.
She scared me, so I hit the pretty loud, and it was just like, oh. Bye-bye.
Let me see here. Almost done. So, Mark, after Melina's exit, you now have the option to use your final key either to head right, head up, or you could return back through Goemon, back through Londi, back through the dice roll, and head north in that room as well.
I don't know why I do this, but like I think I might have said it last time, but whenever I'm playing like any game with a dungeon in it, and I think because of Zelda, I've always gone to the left first. So I'm gonna go all the way back to that dice room and go through that north door.
Oh yeah?
As his eyes widen with excitement.
What awaits you inside? Pray tell. As the door unlocks, you hear the creaking of the wood. You hear the laughter within. And Mark, none other than a mini-boss awaits you.
Oh shit.
In the form of Pyramid Head. Making his strike back from the loser's bracket in our Who Would Win in a Fight segment, Pyramid Head awaits you to ask the question. Pyramid Head first appeared in which game as a playable character? New International Track and Field or Crazy Kart Racers?
Crazy Kart Racers.
The answer was New International Track and Field.
Come on.
You have one more chance to defeat Pyramid Head before he sends you into madness. True or false, Pyramid Head is based on a flash of a scene the creator Masahiro Ito saw as a child when entering a movie theater accidentally.
False.
Correct. False. That was Shigesato Itoe, where he found the imagery for Gigas in the Mother series. You've defeated Pyramid Head and gain one key, leaving you with a total of one key. So you still can explore the dungeon just a little bit further if you'd prefer, or if you'd like.
Is that a dead end?
So yes, Pyramid Head is a dead end. At this point, you'd have to return back to the Melina room and head either up or right.
I'm gonna go north in the Melina room.
I'm gonna go north. All right. Mark's final key. He heads into room D13. And what awaits inside D13? I don't know why I used this image of a heart for D13. However,
look at that heart.
What awaits Mark inside D13 is a free video game.
Ooh.
Mark, let me just open my text messages here. And there you go, Mark. Congratulations. You have a free gift waiting for you at Humble Bundle to redeem.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I forget what it's called. Something about sloths.
You sent me a real-ass game.
That's what was waiting for you inside the dungeon.
I can't... It doesn't save my login on my phone.
Yeah, you'll have to do a whole thing. But anyway, I can send that to you in a different way. If
Battle sloths. I don't know. I like the sound of it, though. Thank you.
What's it
Battle
called?
sloths?
Battle sloths. There you go. Don't thank me. Thank the generous rewards of the dungeon that await us ahead. We've made some progress here. You've fought Pyramid Head. You thwarted Melina's teeth. You've got no keys left for this week, but we do have some interesting paths coming up next week. Next week, you could potentially make it to the end of the dungeon, depending on how you end up exploring it. I'm scanning here. Yeah. Well,
that wasn't the full title.
Oh.
It's Battle Sloths 2025, The Great Pizza Wars.
Well, then, of course, that's the previous version of me that picked that game out for you.
Can't wait to hear about that next week.
Yes, stay tuned to hear more about that and just to see how far Mark can make it in the dungeon next week. With that, we are going to move into a breaking news story. It just happened as we're recording. The Mass Effect Trilogy remaster has been announced by publisher Electronic Arts and developer BioWare, happening on, of course, Saturday, November 7th, and 7-Day, as BioWare likes to celebrate occasionally, I suppose. They at least post a picture sometimes. Mm-hmm. But this year they've announced Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which will include remastered versions of Mass Effect 2, and Mass Effect 3. Each game has been improved with updated texture, shaders, models, effects, and technical features, a modernized experience, super sharp resolution, faster frame rates, and visual enhancements. This will launch spring 2021 for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, with forwarded compatibility and targeted enhancements for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S and X. How do you feel about that?
Exciting. I will wait.
Is it exciting?
I will wait until the PS5 or Series X update to get the full effect of this. I never beat Mass Effect 1. I don't think that is a good game. It's a fine game. It is not a good game. However, Mass Effect 2 is so good that it makes me want to play 1 and maybe see through an entire playthrough as Commander Shepard. What is interesting here, there's two things really. One, all the downloadable content is here, which means the somewhat, I'm going to put this in quote, fixed endings of 3 will be available at the launch for you. But also, with Mass Effect 3, there is a battle readiness meter that's going to need to be retweaked. Mass Effect 3, you had it was like the campaign, it was like battle readiness or something like that, but multiplayer fed into that. You had to play a little bit of multiplayer if you wanted 100% battle readiness. Or I don't think you had to do multiplayer, but you had to do a lot in single player to get to a comparable thing. So I wonder how they deal with that. So stay tuned with that. But no, it's exciting. And Mass Effect 1 definitely used a facelift. That is early, like 360, I believe. Yeah, this is all PS3 360 at this point. So with that being early 360, that could use a facelift. Hopefully it runs better too. That would be great. That was one of my problems with that game. It ran like crap. But yeah, no, it's exciting. I'm not looking for an excuse to play Mass Effect 2, but like if you're going to give me Mass Effect 2 in 4K and all this other stuff, then please sign me the hell up. We'll see if I'm there day one, but I will end up probably waiting for there to be a enhanced PS5 or Series X version. If I don't get on PC, I might just grab it on PC because I played it on PS3 already.
Yeah. Well, more information on that one will be announced in 2021 as we get closer to launch in the spring. We did learn this week that Genda has acquired majority of shares in Sega Entertainment, now holding 85.1% of Sega Entertainment shares as of December 3rd, 2020, when the transfer does go into effect. Genda and Sega Entertainment will be, quote, working to revitalize the amusement industry and to create an environment where everyone can be involved, including manufacturers, operators, and users. Sounds like one of those fun, lofty corporate promises that I'm sure they have very specific things in mind, but they use fantastic copy like this to promote. Sega Entertainment will no longer be a part of Sega Group's consolidated subsidiaries. This news story kind of hit, and I saw like a little bit of panic in some of the comments of different sites that picked it up that Sega had been acquired. This is just the kind of arcade and entertainment piece, primarily in Japan. They have properties in other places, but it's primarily there. Sega has assured that existing arcades will retain the Sega branding, because that's very iconic as you're walking through by those different arcades in the different areas of Japan. Like you just see the big Sega logo everywhere you go.
Very iconic in Shenmue as well.
Yeah, and all that stuff, Yakuza as well, like they're all in there, and those are going to stay as they are, at least for the time being. This just generally affects like the arcade ventures, but all video game business, general video game business, still falls under Sega Sammy. Who also, Sega Sammy this week had announced internally that they're looking for voluntary layoffs. There's a news story about that out there now, so not sure. Some change up at Sega happening on its 60th anniversary, so we'll see. But if you're worried about Sega's future or its arcades, you could bring a piece of the Sega arcade history home with you for just $499 when Arcade 1-Up releases Outrun Deluxe this December. The upcoming cabinet release features a full sit-down experience with built-in racing wheel pedals and hardware that you would expect in the actual arcade cabinets. This replica will include Outrun, Turbo Outrun, Outrunners, and Power Drift. You can pre-order now, and the cabinet begins to ship in early December. Ooh, this was the first one of these that I was like, should I do it? I feel like it'd be a dumb thing just to have Outrun in my basement.
It's not just Outrun though.
I know.
But yeah, the fact that it can be either stand up or sit down, it's only a matter of time before we get like Daytona USA.
I bet you that is like...
Imagine an FMPP with a couple of those cabinets right next to each other.
Oh! Man. Yeah, maybe it's time to drop. Hey, I'm not buying those consoles, so maybe I'll drop $500 on a deluxe Outrun cabinet.
I have the turtle one next to me. I just need...
Yeah.
Oh, man, I just don't have the money, but I want it so bad.
Steal it.
Yeah, you're right.
Can you steal money from somebody?
I mean, I can go further. Never mind. I'm not going to say that on air.
All right. Moving forward. Pokemon Sword. I beat the game.
Congrats.
Thanks. Thank you. It was not hard because this is the weird thing about Pokemon Sword, and specifically with Pokemon Home that I talked about last week is I used Pokemon Bank to get all of my Pokemon from the 3DS games that I had spent a lot of time and years of going back and forth with Pokemon X, Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, and Pokemon Ultra Moon. Years building that collection and growing those Pokemon and getting them to the point they were at. But then for Pokemon Sword and with Bank and then Pokemon Home, just pulled them all in and kind of had a finals ready battle team pretty easily without a lot of work. So I found that I felt like I was using a Game Shark while I played this because I had all of those old Pokemon at the ready. Like I didn't have to go through the pains of training Pokemon in this one. I still did, but I did the cool method of go to an area that has pretty high level Pokemon, take an even higher level Pokemon in there, and everybody else in my party is the level 5 or whatever that I'm the early ones, and then just whoop.
Right, because this one shared the experience. You didn't have to bring it into battle.
Yes, exactly. There's so many quality of life things in this game that I think make this they make it a really approachable Pokemon experience for anyone who's just jumping into the series, but I think also for someone like me who's played through these games, we all have at this point, there's so many different things that they've always been there just because they're supposed to be there because it's a Pokemon game, but they really don't add any gameplay value. It's just for tradition's sake, and I think a lot of that was bucked in this one, which has been a very, very welcome change. A couple things about the main campaign. I really liked the attention to detail, keeping the spirit of London alive in the world of Galar. There were a lot of facets of what makes London London, or that culture that they kind of really captured in this. I felt the one I really liked was, I forget which number gym. It's either the 6th, 7th, or 8th. It's not the 8th gym. 6th or 7th gym. You fight this guy, and it's the dark type gym that you fight. But instead of it being, so I talked last week about how the gym battles were in the big stadiums, right? You go and it'd be a big stadium in a city, whatever. This one, the whole city is you going on a side-scrolling thing that plays music that sounds like Streets of Rage music. and it's like spray paint, graffiti, like alleyway, whatever, and like Team Yell, the bad guys in this one, jump out at you, as you're going along, kind of like a side-scrolling beat 'em up, and then you just have to do a Pokemon battle with them. When you get to the end, the fight takes place in a basketball court while everybody's behind fences, shaking the fences and cheering and whatever. And the guy that you fight is the singer of a punk rock band, and he's got his Robert Smith hair down in his face and everything. But like, as his Pokemon do attacks, he leans in and sings another lyric to like they played with a lot of that stuff in this game to kind of like add a little bit of flair to the characters and make them a little bit more memorable. Like, I can't tell you a single gym leader from Ultra Moon or Alpha Sapphire, or at this point, I really don't remember some of the others. But this, I remember, and obviously I just played it, so maybe you ask me in a year, I won't remember. But I feel like I will remember this guy at least, right? There's a lot of character behind each of the gym leaders this time around. One thing I noticed while playing the game is I really missed the bottom menus that you had on a 3DS on that dual screen. Like, having that with Pokemon for the last 15 years, I think is now, it sucks not having it. Not in a big way, but just in the way that, like, if I quickly want to swap out my Pokemon, I have to hit X to open the menu and then move the cursor to the Pokemon option, right? Like in the 3DS games, you would just tap on the bottom screen with your thumb really quickly, or the stylus, or whatever. It's a minor gripe, but like just those little things like that it's a trade-off from not having a dual screen system. The other side of it is playing the game on a TV is gorgeous. It just looks so bright and so big, and it's really a wild experience being able to play a Pokemon game, a real full Pokemon game on a TV, which it's still novel to me in a way. I spent some time after getting the 8th badge before I did the championship, and I went to the wild area. You guys remember the wild area in this one?
Mm-hmm. That's like early on, isn't it? Just that big field.
Yeah, you get there and you kind of get to a point pretty quickly where you realize you're underpowered to be in the wild area. Like, you wander a little bit and it's like, oh, they're way, because I think when you get there, you're pretty, I bet you probably don't have a character higher than level 10, and you start running into things that are like level 30, and you get crushed pretty quickly. But going back post all of the gyms, now you can access new areas that you can actually, do some damage in. And it's big and it's massive and it's really a lot to explore. And it feels like, I think, what we wanted this game to be wholly, right? Because you have free camera movement, you have this big kind of tiny open world to run around in, and you do have the Dynamax raids in this, which I finally got to jump in and do some of the Dynamax raids, which there is a level of Dynamax raids I've not reached yet that I know are out there, where like you're actually scheduling with people and doing things to try and like there's like raid hunts you can do, and I know that's a big part of the latest DLC as well. The core, just you're in the wild area, there's a glowing light reaching the sky, go there and fight the Pokemon. Those raids are pretty cool, where you pair up with 3 other people to take on a big Pokemon. And then after you defeat the Pokemon, you get a chance to catch it. And the really cool thing they do there, it's subtle, it's so subtle, but they shift the UI. So your Pokemon UI stuff is still in the bottom left corner, where you see, whatever your Pokemon's name is and its health. But that top right corner, where you'd normally have the enemy Pokemon, is moved dead center and made a little bit bigger, so it feels like a big boss fight that you're in the middle of. And I think that's just it's tiny, but it made such a big difference in terms of like immersing you into this raid. You go through, you beat the Pokemon, and after you beat the Pokemon, you then get the chance to catch it, and then you're granted a bunch of TMs and items and things like that, depending on the level of the raid. So that's pretty cool, because you're like, I feel like there's so many different levels you can play Pokemon at, right? Like, there's the crazy competitive, there's the super casual, and I always found myself somewhere in the middle of it, where like, yeah, I cared a little bit about having competitive Pokemon, but not enough where I was going to be breeding and checking IVs and doing all that, which you can still do, and they've added tools to do that. Like, there's an IV checker you can get after you beat the game if you go and do certain things. Technical TMs, I never really like occasionally I would teach a Pokemon that, but I'd pretty much just let their natural move set be their natural move set. I found myself in this game now earning some of those, now looking at them after the raids and being like, could this benefit anyone? Should I get this one? Should I, move this around with this character as I build my team and make my team stronger? So those are fun, and I think the other neat thing about the Dynamax raids is some of the Gigantamax characters, because remember this game had every Pokemon can Dynamax, which just makes them big and kind of glowing red, but Gigantamax changes what they actually look like.
Oh, okay.
And boy, you ain't seen nothing till you've seen a Gigantamax Garbodor. Because he just becomes a mountain of filth with like cars and boats and planes all hanging out of him. It's like a big dump just come to life, and it's one of my favorite things about this game. It's just like that, or like the big apple that turns into whatever, the alchemy that turns into a big cake. Like there's just it's silly to an extent that it's still fun. All right, we're like halfway through my Pokemon stuff, so you guys tell me questions. What are you feeling? What are you thinking?
I guess the only question I would have so far is now I know like you've just like started jumping back into this and now like you finished it. Do you see yourself continuing to play this to like a completionist level, or are you just kind of done, burnt out at this point? Or
it's day by day for me. After beating it, I spent some time in the wild area just trying to fill up my Pokedex. And was having a good time with that generally, like running around, like the free movement in that area, the free camera movement felt cool. And I was excited to be there. But I kept thinking like, do I need the DLC? Should I get the DLC? I don't know. And spoilers, I bought the DLC, but like even a day before buying the DLC, I was like, I don't know. Like I could walk away from this, right? Like I could totally walk away and be fine with this, because the core story to the game is exactly the same core story that you've known. I think there are cool additions to this one. Character things, like there are moments that they've really tried to make something a little bit different, but that core piece of it is still go from town to town, blah, 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 blah. Occasional interjection of a bad guy. Like the hooks are still there, but never in a way that I felt like got in the way. I do feel like even though the kind of like bullet points all run through the same beats, I feel like the details are where the writers of the story tried to reach into new territory, right? I think that punk rock example of going down the Streets of Rage tunnel is a perfect example of like how they try to do something a little bit different just to change up some of it. To that end, the final bit, like I wrote in my notes, like where's the Giovanni's hideout puzzle kind of stuff? Because some of those earlier gyms with like weird little things you had to do to figure out were really neat, but nothing ever quite reached that level. And you do hit a point where you're in the Champions League, and the Champions League's cool, or League of Champions, whatever it is. That's their version of the final or Elite Four. It's a bracket, so not unlike who would win in a fight. Like you walk in and all 8 gym leaders are there, plus Leon, the league champion, and you need to go through the bracket until you get to Leon. And then right when you do, scary Giovanni type guy opens up a portal to hell and unleashes the end of the world upon Galar, and everyone needs to flee before you can fight Leon to go take down this guy. But it is not at all like there was no puzzle. It was literally just like walk in this room, take this elevator down, walk forward, talk to this guy, beat him. He says, okay, I guess you beat me, so the end of the world's done. Go back and become champion. You really did a good job. Like there was no like menace or like villain there. It was kind of lackluster in that regard. But so I think had I not bought the DLC, my answer to your question is I probably would have toyed around with it, collected some Pokemon, and just kind of whatever. There is still a post-game story where you actually go, and that's where you get the legendary Pokemon from the game, Sword or Shield, whichever one you have. And there is like a little story that I looked at. It does take you around to different parts of the map following these weird brothers.
Because my follow-up was with all that was going to be, to jump about post-game, was there any continuation with like the Team Rainbow Rocket stuff?
Not that I've seen so far. Not in the core game. And also there is there were moments that I feel like I was kind of running through towns pretty quickly, because once I kind of got a taste for getting those last few gym badges and knew the end was in sight, I was not really exploring a lot of the outsides. I would assume that it's not in here with Rainbow Rocket, but I don't know what they've done in the DLC, because the DLC completely night and day. I next week will be more DLC talk. I'll kind of leave it at that, but I got Isle of Armor. Well, I got the whole thing, but I started with Isle of Armor, which was the first DLC that came out in June. So the downside to it is we in our current lives are living the best weather life. Isle of Armor, it's back, it's summer again, which kind of makes sense if I had played this back in June, right? I think they did a cool thing there where like June Isle of Armor comes out, it felt like summer, and now Crown of Tundra comes out and it's a winter, and it thematically plays. But Isle of Armor is completely different. Isle of Armor is exactly what I hope is the template for how they're going to do the entire next game, because it is just the wild area, but a whole island.
Okay.
So you just wander. And you move the camera, you go into the water if you want to. The coolest thing is like you're going in the water because you have a bike that just goes under water, obviously. And as you're riding through the water, just a Gyarados goes flying by or swimming by. And
That's
you're
what
like,
I wanted.
Whoa, dude. Or like you see these waves off in the distance, just this like cone of waves like flying in the air. Just Sharpedos just flying at you, and they just come and attack you, and it's terrifying the way they like make the sharks like jaws come at you as like the opening battle animation, like really cool stuff like that. There's a Diglett hunt, so there's 151 Alolan Diglett hidden on the island, and you have to go around and find all of them. Like just as you're exploring the island to do the other main story stuff for the Isle of Armor, you find these Diglett, and as you're finding them, you go back to the guy who lost all of his Digletts. And when you give him back in chunks of 10, he gives you another Alolan Pokemon for your Pokedex. There's just things like that are really cool. The story, there's 3 trials you're going to go through with Master Mustard, of course. He's the like guy running the dojo on this. So when you get there, he gives you this cool new outfit. You get a gi and you get your hair tied up in a like a bun. And the first trial is this dude has raised 3 Slowpoke to be not so slow. So you and a couple of other people on the island who, again, I think the characters in this are like really well realized in the DLC for Isle of Armor. Much more so than like Hop, and even I thought Marnie, the other character in the main game, was I thought she had a lot of personality to her more so than Hop. Hop was fine, but like he's just your rival, where Marnie I feel like had like kind of a story and there was like a dynamic there. Same with Sonya was another character. Sorry, this is all getting into the weeds, but I feel like they did do neat things with like trying to grow these characters, right? Like Sonya kind of follows you along the adventure along the way, but at the end she's being turned into the professor of this region, right? Like her grandmother is the professor, but her grandmother's like, it's time for you to wear the lab coat, kid. So now like you're there and like you're the champion and like people recognize you as the champion in a way in the post game, where I feel like before you'd get like a little blurb of text that says like, but now it's like, dude, you're the champ, you're the guy. Like they know your name, they're cheering for you, that kind of stuff. Isle of Armor, you have 2 characters who are with you whose names I can't remember now because I've only met them briefly, but they join you on this journey for whatever, and you're supposed to do battles with Master Mustard, and he's going to put you through these trials. And the one girl is like, hey, I didn't get my my outfit, where's mine? He's like, oh, okay, and he hands it to her, and then you see this flash go by, and the outfit's gone, and she's like, what happened, where did it go? And he's like, I guess you're too slow. And you look over, dude has trained 3 Slowpokes to be the fastest Pokemon ever. So there are these special Slowpokes that are super fast. They run off with the girl's costume, and now your first trial is to go hunt them down and catch them.
I was hoping to be wearing
So fingers crossed. I've explored that whole island, or it felt like at this point, and I've only found one of them. So I've really spent time like hunting them down and you have to battle each one of them, and it's a whole thing. And as you do that, there's different trials on the island. So it seems like it's going to be pretty cool DLC. But again, I feel like Isle of Armor and what I'm assuming Crown of Tundra is going to be is what I really want in Gen 9 for this. Like, I want the whole game to be Breath of the Wild light.
Also,
way, right? Like,
I would want them to acknowledge all the other games and what happened in those, like, post whatever. Like, acknowledge other champions, acknowledge the other teams and whatever events went on, and all that.
Well, it seems like that's why I said where I don't know about Rainbow Rocket, because Isle of Armor has a lot of Alolan influence to it in terms of its Pokemon, its Pokedex. So I would not be surprised if, like, the first Pokemon that I caught when I stepped out of the little station onto Isle of Armor was a Klefki, Matt's favorite Pokemon. But like I stepped out and that was the thing that was just kind of floating there and flew right at me. So I was like, okay, here we are. But yeah, I just playing Isle of Armor, I can't say that the story's going to be great. I can't say whatever, but this is exactly what I wanted the next generation of Pokemon to feel like. And I think the core game is a solid Pokemon game, but I feel like this is exactly what the new generation needs to be. You know, when they do the next one and you're going from town to town, I want the towns to be as like well realized as this stuff.
Cool.
Being able to spin the camera around, look around, that whole thing. So that's everything I got on Pokemon, unless you guys have questions about it that I didn't answer.
Not that I think off the top of my head at the moment.
So I'll check in with that next week with more Isle of Armor. From what I understand, both DLCs are, the story content's pretty short, but there's a lot of like weird stuff you can do to explore and catch other Pokemon. There's a whole legendary hunting mode in Crown of Tundra that just you do legendary hunts. Special versions of the three birds show up to do stuff.
There was what game was it? Was it Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire? Or was it X and Y where they had like legendary, like an island or whatever you go to try to...
Alpha Sapphire had some legendary thing. I forget what that was, but yeah, I think it was that one. I think X and Y gave you something via mystery gifts, but then Alpha Sapphire had that whole post-game go hunt down all of the legendaries from every... Well, speaking of Pokemon may or may not come up on a list here, but Nintendo held its quarterly earnings report, announcing lifetime sales for Nintendo Switch have reached 68.3 million units worldwide. I bring up that number specifically because Pikmin 3 sold 2 million units on the Wii U, which means there's 66 million people who've not played Pikmin 3. So if you're listening to this, go buy Pikmin 3. Nintendo also announced its top 10 sellers for the Nintendo Switch, and we're going to play a quick, brief little game with you two, where I want to know if you can guess some of the top sellers. So, what are your guesses? If you already looked this up, then I guess don't cheat, but what are your two guesses for the best-selling Nintendo Switch game?
Go first because I think I saw an article.
I
don't remember it, but
yeah, I wasn't sure if one of us shared something that showed the list or not, or maybe I saw it on Twitter. So I think I do know it.
What do you guys think?
Is it Mario Kart?
Mark?
Yeah, definitely Mario Kart and or Animal Crossing.
So Mario Kart is the best-selling Nintendo Switch game at 28.99 million pieces sold. Animal Crossing, in second place, how many units would you guess Animal Crossing has sold since launch?
What was Mario Kart's?
28.99 million.
I'm going to say 10.
Is it
Matt?
Is it? I think it's 15 to 17, somewhere in there.
26.04 million copies
of
Animal Crossing New Horizons have been sold since launch, which was only
Creeped up fast
7+ months ago. Which is crazy considering Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is in third place at 21.1 million units sold. Breath of the Wild, which was, the definitive Switch game at launch, 19.74. So, I mean, almost 10 million difference between Mario Kart 8 and Breath of the Wild. And then, of course, 7-ish between Breath of the Wild and Animal Crossing. Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield combined coming in at 19.02. Super Mario Odyssey at 18.9. Then we have a bit of a drop-off down to Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee at 12.49. Super Mario Party kicking it at 12.1. Splatoon 2 at 11.27. And then under the 10 million mark, coming in at 8.32, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Here's where the fun begins. What were, in your guys' best guesses, the top sellers for the 3DS?
Do we have to list like 10 or something, or?
Just what would you guess were the best sellers on 3DS? We'll be generic because there's specific numbers and stuff, but
I mean, definitely Animal Crossing Wild World.
3DS.
Sorry. Yeah. I was thinking New Leaf. Yeah.
Yeah, that is at number 6 with 12.82 million.
3D Land, Mario
3D Land at number 7 with 12.77 million.
Mario Kart, 7? Is that the one on 3DS?
Mario Kart 7, the best-selling 3DS title. How many units?
I'm going to say 30 mil.
Mark?
I'm going to say 32.
18.92.
Wow.
So the Switch already in less time.
Is that attachment
And if you
rate?
remember, Mario Kart 7 was
Switch.
Oh yeah. Mario Kart 7 was also a pack-in for the 2DS for a long time. So all of those 2DS sales that went to man. So there's your number 1. Your 2, 3, and 4 are Pokemon XY, Pokemon Sun Moon, and then Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire in that order. New Super Mario Bros. 2 at number 5 with 13.37. Number 8, you've got Smash Brothers for 3DS. Number 9, Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. And then Tomodachi Life at 6.63 coming in at number 10. But crazy list between the two.
You know what would have been their highest mobile game?
I know. What could have been? And what will be? As we talk about some updates for games this week, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remaster got an update for free that adds... the big things were that you can now replay through tours. So before you'd play through the game, no matter which character you played as, you could still get stat points for individual skaters, but the checklist items were all crossed off as long as you did them once. But now you can play through single tours for each individual skater. They've also added Crash Bandicoot themed gear for your Create a Skater. There's also the Birdman pack available for purchase for $4.99, which includes 10 decks to use for your Create a Skater. 5 of the decks are brand new to the Tony Hawk franchise, but all 10 decks are a mix of Birdhouse and Pal Peralta decks. Net proceeds received by Activision through the purchases of this pack go toward the skate park project to create public skate parks in underserved communities. The pack will be available until the end of 2021, or once Activision's donations reach $500,000. You know? Don't want to give them too much. No, that's still a cool pack. Final Fantasy IV also received an update this week. You know, as you'd expect. Final Fantasy IV for PC, iOS, and Android has been updated to support full screen, bug fixes, and adds a new user interface. There's a new trailer showing off some of the game's cinematic cutscenes and shows the new changes in-game. This might be anathema from my part, but I would love if Square Enix could just bring those games to Nintendo Switch. Just 4, 6, just dump them. Even if it's just the Super Nintendo versions, that I would take that. Yeah. But like this new PC updated version, even though it's this weird art style that's kind of not great, just dump it on Switch, man. We got the others, right? We got 7, 8, 9 on Switch. 10? 12? 12's on there.
Yeah, 12, 9, yeah. 10, I want to say yes.
I think 10 and 10 2 are on there at this point.
And on Vita, the old 10 should be on Switch.
Yeah. So we'll see. Speaking of Switch, this sounds like a Switch game, but I don't know that it is. Mark, you played Chicken Police this week.
Yeah.
Tell me about Chicken Police.
Oh man. I think this is on everything now. I'm trying to. I want to use your store page to tell a better description. Probably what I can do.
I'm pulling it up now.
Yeah.
I see
It's
it.
Steam,
on...
PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch.
Yeah. A wild tale of love, death, chickens, and redemption. Chicken Police is a buddy cop noir adventure with a carefully crafted world, a gritty story, and lots of absurd humor. The game mixes elements of classic adventure games with visual novel-style storytelling. So yeah, I played the demo, and then obviously it did not carry my save over to the full game.
No,
which is fine. It's fine. It wasn't too much that you do anyway for progress. It's like a chunk of the beginning stuff, but not all of it. So the full game has a new intro and whatnot, which actually is a better tutorial than the demo, in my opinion. But I saw the trailer the day it launched, and I just immediately bought it because I did not know this game existed. I didn't know it was happening. It looked right up my alley. I love detective like noir stuff. It's like part point and click adventure with some like modern elements in there. The visual style is very nice to look at. I kind of wish it was a movie in a way, but I will accept this. It's just super high res photos of like it looks like generic stock people bodies with like just animal heads, just photorealistic animal heads. Like none of this is hand drawn.
Yeah, it's like, what if BoJack Horseman characters were made with stock art?
Yeah,
very high resolution.
But then you add like that noir voice acting to it. So like the main guy, I think his name is Sonny Featherland, and he has like.
Checks out.
Like, oh, my name is Sonny Featherland, and I'm doing a case. Like, he's talking like that. He's like, you're full of shit, Marty. You shut the clock up. Like, there's those...
So wait,
now
this is voice acted?
Yeah, fully voice acted.
Oh, shit.
When you say Marty, are you referring to Marty McChicken?
I am, in fact. That's his partner in crime. And, you know, he's the hothead one where, you know, he's just looking to fight, and his weaknesses are guns and women. The humor is like the writing is top notch. Like I did not expect to find this much enjoyment out of this game, and it looks like there's other more gamey interactive parts in there where so they let you do a test that you can do a shooting range. So left click to shoot, right click to reload, and you just have like a 6-shooter and just trying to like just get a high score. But from what I saw in the trailer, it looks like there are scenes where you're doing like a chase sequence and you're shooting at other cars that are trying to kill you and stuff. So it seems like a pretty nice blend. Now you don't have like items that you have to like solve puzzles with from what I'm seeing. You're not like, how do I get out of this room? Oh, get this hamster out of the cage, put that hamster in the microwave, set it for high to 3 minutes. You're not doing anything like that. It's just like, you look at something, you have your people, you have the chickens talk about it, have a little conversation, a little banter. You talk to somebody, then you have 2 other options you unlock where you can ask questions, and then you can do an interrogation sequence just to get more clues on what's going on. Because you were hired by this this showgirl essentially. She owns this club. And she's like the singer at it, and just very kind of what you expect in a typical noir setting, And she's getting these threats, and they're all handwritten. And the Chicken Police were once a very notorious and like infamous, like they were the best around in their prime, and now they're all like washed up, and your guy's like less than a year and about to be like going out of like retirement or whatever, or in retirement, out, I don't. He's going to be retired soon. So this is one like his last case or whatever. I've only played it maybe about a little over an hour, maybe 2 hours worth. Because I didn't realize when you interact with something and you get to hear like any narration or monologuing, you can go back for a little bit of extra details with everything. So I've been like carefully combing through stuff to make sure I'm not missing anything. And there's different locations you can travel to, and some would advance the story. But then sometimes you'll see a little temporary icon, like a little hourglass pop up. You can only go there when you see that. It's that one-time opportunity to maybe to get a little extra story in there, or like a little side quest or something. But yeah, it's pretty I don't know how to describe it. It's pretty unique, to say the least.
Yeah, it seems like it. So do you have like the pantheon of trademark games is ever growing, but with this type of like Snatcher, Grim Fandango, Day of the Tentacle, like is this in the Mark wheelhouse traditionally, or is this something newer for you?
Like is this something that's gonna like sink its hooks into me and I'm gonna be like...
I just mean more like is this something that obviously a name like Chicken Police and the art style that it does have, I think is a big draw, but like, is this normally your type of game? And how are you finding like playing it? If not?
I would say yes. I don't play a lot of, I guess, like point and clicks or however you describe this game, but when I do play them, I do really get invested and I enjoy them. So it's kind of like it's my closest thing to like, I could play something casual, not to be super stressed out about it, just kind of go along for the ride. But at the same time, it does have its moments where it can be very entertaining and challenging with gameplay. So like bring it up again, the Nonary games is up there. That's like one of my top all-time favorites. Then you have something like Doki Doki Literature Club. It's more like visual novel, but it's still along those lines. Kind of hits some of those same themes of gameplay. And there was one I was playing for a bit called The Last Door. It's by the developers who made Blasphemous. Those was like their first games. That's more like just detective mystery, and there is some like light puzzle solving in those. So yeah, I guess I'm coming around to more and more to playing this style of game. But if it wasn't for the voice acting, I probably wouldn't be as invested. Like it adds so much.
Yeah, I think that makes a world of difference. It's something that Pokemon, I keep expecting them to talk, and I don't know why they don't at this point. Like, just go full. Obviously, it's more work, but just blur those lines between the anime and the games at this point. But yeah, I think that would keep me in, because if you're just reading the text, like, yeah, you can go so far with making the voices in your head, but I think that's way more immersive.
Yeah, definitely. But if anyone is interested out there, I'm not sure if there's a demo on all platforms, but at least on Steam, I'd say it's worth checking out.
Yeah, just see what that. Yeah. Matt, have you ever played Snatcher?
No, I haven't. I was going to add. I just saw it. It's on sale on Steam right now. It's $15.99 instead of $19.99 if you're looking to pick it up. Don't know if that sale will still apply though when this goes up. So sorry. Yeah. You had a chance. Should have been telepathically listening to us over the weekend.
I want to play Snatcher now.
But to answer your question, no, I've not played Snatcher.
I want to go back to that one eventually at some point, but another time. Instead of going back, we're going to look ahead really quickly at the week ahead. Quite a week lined up. New consoles are out this week. Xbox Series X, Series S, both launch on November 10th, with PlayStation 5 on November 12th. A couple quick little headlines from the week, just in case you missed them. PlayStation has confirmed that all sales of the console will occur with retail partners online only. There will be no physical stock in stores. Customers can purchase online and pick up at their reserved time scheduled with the store, but no camping out, no lines. Don't go out this week thinking I'll just head to Target and get one. Best Buy has confirmed the same structure for the Xbox, but as of this recording, nothing else has been said about Xbox. So I don't know that maybe you can go to Target and buy an Xbox. I would doubt it. I would highly doubt it. But Best Buy at least confirmed that PlayStation and Xbox are both being handled the same way. Also learned this week, as some of the press got its hands, well, press has had its hands on the new consoles, but they're now able to talk about it. But PlayStation 5 now shows you how long you've played your games. It took way too long.
And evidently, this goes back, too. Like, it's going to register your PlayStation 4 hours as well. So I can't wait to see some of the hours I've pumped into various games, or the lack of hours I've pumped into some various games over the years. So,
yeah, the ones you think, like, I definitely put, 300 hours into that, and it's like, nah, dude, you played it for 15 minutes.
I can finally, kind of start to combine my Rocket League hours. Finally.
Damn.
Rack that all up, yeah. And I wonder, so a couple of my questions with this now, because obviously, this is like my number one most requested feature on any platform ever. One, will it extend to the mobile app? So on the mobile app, will I be able to look and see, just like I can see my trophy history, my play history? Two, will they fix the mobile app on iPad so that it's not a vertical only stupid app? Why would you do that? Why would you ruin that? This is three. And I think, most importantly, I already forgot.
I'm prepared to shake my head no again, as I've done the first two times.
Yeah, it's gone. That thought just completely evaporated on me.
So what were the first two again?
This is why we write things down.
Fixing the mobile app in two different ways.
Oh.
The playtime in the app, and that it sucks on iPad.
Yeah, I knew that.
I was trying to jog your memory.
The store working? I don't know. The bottom line being across the tabs on the mobile app or on the iPhone. I don't know what else.
Something with the game time and how long you've played.
Oh, is it going to be like Switch where you have to wait 7 days?
No, I expect it would be kind of there. Whatever. I don't know. I guess my big thing.
Everything should have Wii U analytics.
Is it remote? Remote play would be from your PlayStation. I don't know. I don't know what you were going for.
I hope it's like Wii U. Yeah, I don't remember my other question about it. Totally gone.
Cool.
However, we asked a question a couple weeks ago, will PT be playable on the PlayStation 5? And it turns out, no. According to a Sony Interactive Entertainment spokesperson, people with the console out in the field noticed that they could load PT and then later could no longer load PT. And a Sony Interactive Entertainment spokesperson said the change to PT's backward compatibility on PlayStation 5 was, quote, a publisher decision. Apparently, Konami made that call to not do that, which...
Do you think...
Hold on to your PS4s, I guess?
Do you think... Or sell them for like $2,000 on eBay.
Yeah.
Do you think there is a chance at some point that Konami takes out the ending of it with Norman Reedus and releases PT again for PlayStation 5, maybe even Series X, Xbox, PC for like $10?
No, I'm not sure where that binds with Kojima, contract-wise or whatever.
I mean, I think it's all Konami, in my opinion.
But even separate from that, from the Kojima stuff itself, there are so many obvious moves Konami could have made in the last 10 years that would have been just like a duh. And they've just, no. Like, just this morning, I sent Mark concept art that somebody made on Reddit of new Castlevania anniversary packs, and I was like, man, why aren't they doing this? Like, why is this not a real thing? I wish they would, Matt, but I have zero faith in Konami at this point.
Fair enough.
I hope.
Yeah.
You, however, may have a little bit of faith in the AEW as we move forward. November 10th, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, AEW Games on Twitter has announced a special event coming. So I guess we're going to get our first wrestling game from the AEW.
I think I'm more curious than anything to see who the developer is and to see if it is indeed the team from that did the 2K games. Ukes, right? Ukes sounds
Yeah,
right.
Ukes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm curious to see what happens there.
Hopefully it's good. Like, hopefully we don't run into what we ran into with the last few.
Well, we'll see. I mean, let's face this. The wrestling. I mean, I really haven't been watching too much wrestling the last couple months since the move, but looking probably to get back into it come WrestleMania season in January. I mean, let's just face it. AEW did, at least in my opinion, did have some better wrestling and better pay-per-views and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In the last few months. So we'll see what this looks like. I'm excited though. I hope this is a good game, or at least decent. Maybe do, maybe when COVID-19 goes away, maybe bring back a certain series on a whole new platform. That'd be fun.
Yeah, if they make a good game.
Yeah.
Well, time will tell. If you brought back FCW, would you use songs by the band Creed?
If they didn't sue us for a lot of money, of course. Certainly. Why wouldn't you?
Apparently, the band Creed, in some of our final video game news stories of the week, Creed has... the drummer of Creed has announced the band may get back together.
That's great.
Which... I didn't know they ever broke up. I just thought everyone stopped caring after.
That's what Victoria said. She said she didn't. I mean, pop culture is not her best thing, but she said she didn't even know they were not together.
Well, I mean, I guess that makes sense because isn't Altered Bridge like a side project from this?
Yes.
See, Mark with the deep Creed
right.
lore.
Have you never heard of them?
Altered Bridge? No,
I have. I know you're talking about.
I think it might be the same guitarist. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those like audio slave things where like the band left and got a new frontman, or the frontman left and got a new band. Well, audio slave was Rage Against the Machine, not with what's his face?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember his name,
baby.
But yeah,
Creed.
Take me higher, I guess.
Exactly.
You got a little fun fact there, Matt?
Just something dumb. I did bring back Creed a couple months ago when playing Warzone. Usually, the vibes were low one night. We kept losing bad, like immediately dropping off. Sometimes when that happens, we like throw, let's play a song through our little chat or whatever, and just try to get the blood going. And someone told me to pick the song for once, and I was like, I got you. And then I played with Arms Wide Open by Creed, and that was what we jumped out to for the rest of the night.
And then won, right?
I mean, at least got the vibes back. I don't remember if we won or not, but at least I got people laughing and
you won where it counts.
Playing the game again. Yeah.
So that's a little peek at the week ahead. One final game check-in for the week. Last week, around this time of the podcast, I threatened to play Genshin Impact, so I downloaded Genshin Impact. You can't use a controller on the mobile version, so I deleted Genshin Impact. At some point, we are going to have a special podcast coming out to you, the listeners, announcing our favorite, best decided, holy best game of the generation. We've been working on this for a little bit. No hard date for when that's going to go up yet. But before we record it, we want to ask you, listeners, what was the best game of the generation? As we close the doors on one and open those, we don't really close the doors. Like, we're kind of just like opening the windows now, right? Like, the door's still open and the windows are open, and if you want to come into this house, you can. Otherwise, it's connected to the other house, so it's fine. You can just hang out there too. I don't know. It's a different time. But anyway, what was the best game this generation? And for the record, listeners, we are talking Wii U, PS4, Xbox One. We're not really talking Switch, but I guess if something kind of falls in that line, that's that. So let us know, podcast@thefreecheese.com with the subject Game of the Generation. And if we get some responses, we will incorporate them into our voting when we do that. for the week upcoming, obviously the new consoles are happening. Matt, what are you getting into this week?
I still don't know yet exactly. As long as the PlayStation, knock on wood, as long as it comes on time, I will definitely be playing Miles Morales and Demon's Souls, at least for a little bit to get a taste for them. But of course, that's going to be a Thursday, and who knows, by the time it might show up at our doorstep, it might be Thursday night. So I don't know how much time I'm going to get behind that, the user interface, all that good stuff before recording. But it looks like the Xbox is coming on Tuesday, and I've committed to playing at least one Ubisoft game. I don't know if I'll play 2 Ubisoft games on that console. Definitely, I think the first game I'm going to play is Tetris Effect. Run through that real quick, see what that looks like in 4K, maybe hop into some of the multiplayer so I have something to talk about on the podcast. But Target's starting to buy 2, get 1 tomorrow. With some of the next gen stuff, or taking advantage of smart delivery. So I'm gonna see if I can sneak in like a third next gen game, maybe like a Yakuza or a Dirt or something like that, just to kind of just play a few things. But I'm gonna start playing a lot of things next week.
Are you gonna jump into Dire Tide?
There's a lot of time between now and Tuesday, so maybe.
That's what I'm saying, man. You got a couple of days.
Maybe.
Mark, I assume Chicken Police is going to continue the noir adventure. Anything else you've got planned for the week in video games?
So I did start something Friday, and I'm going to be probably finishing it either Sunday or Monday. I've been playing Resident Evil 3.
Ooh, the remake?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Remake.
So I went through, I wasn't going to add this with the now playing stuff because I replayed through 2. I did, Leon A, Claire B. Claire B was on hardcore, but I was using only a rocket launcher with infinite ammo the whole time. Didn't save once.
That's awesome.
And I was like, all right, yeah, let me and I missed the sale for 3 on Steam. But Fanatical had it for like $30 or something, so
nice.
Picked that up there, and now I'm going through that. And
I almost grabbed, they did not have it on sale on PlayStation, but they had a 2-pack of 2 and 3 for $40, and I was like, maybe, but I kept telling myself I'd buy 3 when it was $20. So I had to remind myself of that thing I told myself 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And didn't buy it, but I'm curious to hear next week how 3 turned out, because I do want to play through that one. I'm going to finish up, I bet the Isle of Armor I'm going to finish today or tomorrow, and then I'll see what the Crown Tundra has to offer. And yeah, I don't know how much more Pokemon I have in me, but at least a little bit. Other than that, I don't know, man. That's kind of how I've been playing. I've been jumping into Tony Hawk here and there. I've been thinking about playing Session, but usually 2 things happen. I just go skate for real, or something stupid is happening on the PC side of my computer, and I have to deal with that before I can play Session. And I just say, just turn it off and do something else. So that's where we're at with that. But yeah, other than that, Pokemon's been the go-to this week. Well, with that, we'll be back next week to talk launch games, to talk about what we've played, and of course, whatever news happens between now and then. Don't forget, write us, let us know your Game of the Generation podcast at thefreecheese.com. If you are on Twitter, you can follow The Free Cheese at Some Free Cheese. You can follow the Mark at Aug_Mental. Matt is at MattyIce131. That's all of them. Thefreecheese.com is a website that you can go to and look at stuff. Game of the years are coming.
Mm-hmm.
Final word? Mark, hit me with the final word.
Oh.
Matt, hit me with the final word.
With arms wide open.
Mark, hit me with the final word.
I got nothing. Sorry. I failed you.
There it is. There it is. We failed you. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. Bye.